NASA's been projecting holograms in the sky to lie to us all for our entire lives.
So much more than fun in games at the Cartoon Cabal. Beyond what's just in the name at the Cartoon Cabal. See just at what cost comes fame at the Cartoon Cabal. So much more than fun in games at the Cartoon Cabal.
Hello, welcome to the Cartoon Cabal, where we are rocking our way through all of the episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is Matt here. Over there, it's the Paranoid American. Are you making others suffer for your personal hatred?
A little bit, but that's no more than normal. But also, man, we're back in the year 2000. Doesn't it feel great? Doesn't it feel
in the year 2000? So
we are pre 9/11 at this point. In fact, I don't think 9/11 even happens in the Eva
in the year 2000.
It just doesn't happen at all, I don't think.
Maybe, although it does bring up the we keep bringing up for some weird reason, or I am 28 years later, where it's like, oh, culture did progress everywhere but England. So it's like what things did progress and what things did not in the world of Ava. Also, we are stuck in 2015 in the world of Ava. So even for us, it's retro.
Yeah, well, this is 15 years before then. So this particular episode starts in 2000, and then we get to fast forward again. But this is, I think, the farthest back that we've gone so far.
Yeah, I think we've had still frames of the second impact. This is the first time we had moving footage, which is ironic because this is also the episode with the most still frames just stuck into the animation, which, partly style, partly probably just saving a few yen, in production.
I made that a note a few times. We've got lots of close-up shots of eyeballs and lots of static city shots, but then they cram in a whole bunch of really cool mech stuff. So
I think that's the balance.
You can see where they took it out and where they put it back in.
Because it seems generally on this show, it's been like every 5 episodes you get to spend some budget, on some actual stuff. So they're kind of fudging it here a little bit, just like, we're going to do it here anyway.
Also, symbolically, I feel like it's important to point out that this year 2000 would be before any of the Ava pilots are even born, right? Because you have got to be 14 in order to do this. So they haven't even been born in the year 2000. And this is like the first time we get to see maybe before they're around.
Yeah. And also we can we've always wondered exactly what Masada's age was, especially since she was like weirdly hitting on Shinji in the first couple episodes. So what is she, 10 or 12 when she's in that thing, the plug thing? So it's now, I guess she's like 27 now. Which she's late 20s. Yeah, but later 20s, because she's not. I mean, she's at least like she's not a kid in that 2000 scene. Like a small kid. So it's not like there's a baby in there or anything.
And also, it starts out with a shot from the moon pointing at the Earth. So I guess we can deduce that the moon exists in the series. You never know. You never actually know how all the physics and like the planetary objects work. So there is confirmation that they have a moon.
Maybe by 2015, America has blown up the moon. So ever seen that Mr. Show sketch where it's like, America we have the tools, we have the power, and we will blow up the moon. And
this was based on an actual CIA I don't think it was a full-blown operation at any point, but somebody wrote it down on paper and suggested it at one point.
Because we can, that's why. And have you seen the sketch I'm talking about, Mr. Show?
I have, yeah. I mean, this is an old show. This is like a 90s show now.
Yeah, late 90s. I just love that when the moon finally does blow up, it's in the next sketch, and they're having like a boardroom meeting. You're just outside in the window, you see the moon explode. So, it doesn't even matter in the end, right? It would screw up the tides and everything, I covered the show Space 1999, which is about the moon leaving Earth's orbit, and you get reports that Earth is kind of screwed up after that, as it would be.
I wonder, man, if they blew up the moon, what happens to the ocean waves?
I guess they get more chill, or they go over everything. I don't know. So
I don't know. Does it change the world? Does everyone die? Like, does the entire world start to die if the moon? Because the moon's already dead, right?
Right. Well, I like the theory where it was a broken off part of Tiamat, right, from the asteroid field, and that was a planet, and we got that little part of the planet. So. So why is the moon and the sun the same size in the sky? What's your theory?
Is that even true? I don't even know if that's necessarily true.
Think about an eclipse. They about match, right? They're about the same size. It's just weird when you think about it.
Well, I think it's a perspective thing. It's an elliptical orbit, and it's also the fact that NASA's been projecting holograms in the sky to lie to us all for our entire lives.
Oh, come on. They were doing that before NASA. There's the Gnostic mystics at the center of the Earth doing that, probably. You know, you can't blame now NASA. That's hundreds of years old.
Well, they have the holograms, and NASA has just been copying off of them this whole time.
Okay. That's why sunlight's different now. That's another one I like, that because you start thinking about it, is sunlight different now than it was in like 1995, you know?
I feel like that one falls firmly in the Mandela effect category.
Probably.
Where it's just like a false memory syndrome adjacent.
Yeah, you're putting your golden memories with some more gold on them or whatever. I guess that's not really here though. What do we get in this episode? She said, "Don't make others suffer for your personal hatred." I was telling you that actually is the English title. The Japanese titles, they show you both during the episode, which is sorry, I actually have to look at the Japanese for this to say it correctly. And now I can't find it because I'm an idiot. Oh, no, I know how to find it. Okay. Kiseki no Kachiwa, the value of miracles. That sounds like a crappy self-help book, you know? She says, don't make others suffer for your personal hatred. That sounds like an accusation. So I like that title better.
That's what she said.
Yeah. She said, I know what it's like to be dead, you know? That's actually, when I was opening up the title, I just saw She Said, I was hoping they named it after a Beatles song, but that's not the case. So,
and that quote basically references to the fact that, and we'll jump ahead a little bit, that the new angel that comes, they basically have a 1 in 10,000 chance in order to defeat this angel based on the strategy that Masato has put together. And even though it's a 0.001% chance of them actually winning, she still sends them out there, these 14-year-olds in the Eva suits. And I think that that's the reference of don't make others suffer for your personal hatred, because someone makes a comment to her that, hey, are you just doing this because you want revenge on the angels because of what the angels did to you? And obviously that line is what the title of this episode is called, but also I don't really believe that it was only a 0.001% chance. There's absolutely no way, unless they are literally performing real miracles over the course of this show.
Well, it is weird, you know, as a sci-fi viewer, which I imagine most people watching this have seen some other sci-fis, right? It's like, those are, you know, Han Solo odds, right? Don't tell me the odds. You know, he whaps C-3PO at that point or something. You know, Captain Kirk, you give him those odds. You know, Spock's like, these are the odds. He's like, I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. So a sci-fi viewer is like, yeah, those are the odds. Who cares? Let's do it. I know there's an episode 13, you know?
Statistically, you would have to watch at least like 2,000 versions of this episode play out until you found one that actually works, though.
Yeah, that is one thing I liked, just as with Disney and Marvel. We were talking about that a bit beforehand, but the idea that in Avengers Endgame it works because Doctor Strange went through like a million different permutations to find the one that worked, you know, which I like that. He's like, I went through every single statistic and this is the only one that worked. So he took the 0.0001 chance, right? Because he spent time looking for it.
I don't doubt that there might be an aspect of that too, because also what happens at the very beginning of this one, there's a bunch of people inside of pods, and I don't know if I missed something. Like, where are those pods from? Why was everyone in pods? And it also shows that this is back in the year 2000, that Masato is the only one that survived this huge angel blast. And I say angel blast because it looks like they were all in this big ship that kind of crashed. And I'm just going to make some stuff up that it looked like, but it looked like a spaceship with maybe cryogenic pods or some sort of like little sleeping pods. It crashes, and then what looks like these phoenix / bat wings made out of lava erupt from the ground and then smash back down right where this plane had crashed and where all these pods were left over. And then it has a shot of Masato out in the middle of the ocean in one of these pods, kind of like Titanic style on a door, and she's looking at the mainland and she's seeing this huge bat demon angel lava creature basically blow everyone else up, and that's sort of her origin story.
So are they in Antarctica? Because then we have Shinji's dad going down to Antarctica, and we don't really quite find out what they're doing there. It's like, this is hell now. It's irradiated or whatever. Like, even on deck, they're like in like some kind of a pod, right? Because the air has an issue. So I'm like, is that where Masato was?
And it would explain why Masato has the pet penguin.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good point. So penguin achieved. Okay, I hadn't even quite thought about it. Just that the penguin was at the promotion party. So
yeah, let's just assume undercover CIA military experiments fighting with angels in Antarctica. That sounds about accurate.
Okay. But we're back down there. We don't know why. That's why Masato is like fully in charge. Major Masato in this episode now, right? So by the way, people do announce who planned the party at Japanese parties. Because I was watching, I was like, that felt weird. And I was like, oh wait, but they actually do that at parties. So yeah.
What do you mean?
Just there was those weird party announcements as they're sitting at the table, like, what's his name? Prepare the party for all of us. And I feel like Americans don't do that at a party. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Like, as a guest, you demand the host to like start partying?
There's just like party announcements like that. I feel like are much more formalized in Japan. Probably because I've been to so many company parties, right? They make you play dumb games, like organized games and stuff. I get lucky. I always have to take a train home, so I don't have to hang around for the whole thing.
Nice.
At the same time, last time they switched out the managers at my school was a surprise to me because I left the party before they announced that. So I was just like, see you next weekend. And then Tuesday, oh, she doesn't work here anymore. Oh, really? Okay. See you next week. It is a weekend. But yeah, I got a little blindsided by that. So that happens in the office, though. It's like, wait a minute, I haven't seen this person for months. I guess they're gone.
Well, speaking of parties too, there's a quote here from Shinji, and I feel like this is episode 12. So for the first time in 12 episodes, I can actually relate to Shinji, at least in one weird way. And it's because they're throwing this big party in his apartment, and he says, I'm not used to being around this many people. And then he looks around, he's like, why do they have to be so noisy? And I was just like, oh my God, finally there's something that like we're on the level now. Like I get part of Shinji, although overall he's still very annoying.
Well, he's still a 14-year-old punk, right? So, us old fogies, we can't associate too much with that. Early on in this, we also get the harmonics test, which seems like one of the most MK Ultra things we've seen on the show. Like it seems like something that NASA's doing like on sub level 5 or something, Well,
and I believe they're trying to make sure that all 3 of the Avas can work together without any sort of issues, because the plan here is that the angel that they have to fight, which is basically just a giant all-seeing eye. The name is Sahaquiel, I think. I'm probably butchering that, but
I'm happy you went for the pronunciation instead of me.
And it's this huge. It's literally just a huge all-seeing eye in the sky, and the way that it attacks, it's basically this big eye of providence, but it attacks kamikaze style. And I'm just wondering, like, first of all, is that an offensive word in Japan? Is kamikaze something that like people don't talk about?
I don't hear it spoken that much, but
I mean historical now.
It's yeah. But
is it taboo though? Like, would it be taboo to like in the next company party, like, hey, you guys, and anyone's grandpas like kamikaze pilots?
Yeah, that would probably be frowned upon. Although this I'm going to Sahaquiel, is that how you said it? I don't know. It had a completely different original version, which maybe was too hard to animate or something. It was going to be an origami angel, which was going to be a giant Mobius strip with like a little eye in the middle. So, totally non-anthropomorphic was the idea, which I guess it still kind of is, but it was basically going to be a string with an eye that was screwing up everything, which I don't know. I kind of like that idea too.
I don't hate that. And maybe if you can tell by the logo of this show, the cartoon Cabal, but I'm a sucker for just a huge all-seeing eye. So you don't got to be fancy. You don't got to make an origami Mobius strip with strings and all that. You can just put a big old funky eye in the sky and I'm sold.
Yeah, no, my first note is Psychedelic Angel. I'd paint that on my wall. And in fact, it is kind of like the Alan Parsons album cover with Eye in the Sky, isn't it? Looks kind of like that.
The other thing too, in addition to this all-seeing eye angel that they have to fight, is that Masato apparently gets ranked up, right? She gets a promotion. She's now a major. And man, I've never seen anyone immediately take to their new authority so quickly. Like all of a sudden she's making decisions and she's deciding strategy and like making all these executive calls. And it almost seems like she's a completely different person. Like the major bars actually went to her head, but not necessarily in a bad way.
She remember though, when she's doing her job, she's pretty forceful in previous episodes. She just maybe needs to ask someone, "Is this okay?" first. And in this one, you know, the was it the mice will play or whatever. So yeah, I mean, she didn't have anyone to ask in this episode. So but I feel like her command style, it hasn't changed that much. It's just there's no oversight in this episode.
Well, who was even holding her back before? Who would she have to clear her decisions with?
Well, she's not the leader of Nerve. The leader of Nerve is currently on a boat in Antarctica, right?
Right.
So, Gendo. Sorry, I should throw out his name every once in a while. So, anyway, yeah, that was kind of my take. Like, it's not that her command style has changed. She just didn't have to ask anyone for permission at this point. So,
and then as they're talking about how they're going to attack this Eye of Providence, because Eye of Providence is how I have heard like this version of a big eye in the sky, the one on the back of the dollar bill and the grand seal. That's the Eye of Providence. So in my mind, they're fighting this Eye of Providence, and as they're strategizing it, there's literally a shot where they go into this hollow deck at Nerve, and Masato is standing at the exact bottom 90-degree corner of a perfect rectangle, which is directly under a pyramid, and the pyramid is directly under the all-seeing eye. Like, you've got all the different components there. You've got like the three primary shapes. You've got all of this like symbolism kind of baked in. And the very next thing we see after that segment where she's standing in front of that reflective pool is basically her sending the three Evas in the battle. And then she tells them like, "Oh, don't worry. If you guys survive, I'll bring you all out to a steak dinner." And this is like, maybe this is the first time that it dawned on me, like, wait, are they not getting paid for this? Or if they are getting paid, they're not getting paid well to the point where going out for a fancy dinner is the only real benefit they're getting from putting their lives at risk every single time they have to fight an angel and save the world.
Well, maybe Ava is like their school club, because Japanese junior high school students become very devoted to their school club. They spend a lot of time on it. My daughter only did kendo for like a year and a half of the 3 junior high school years just because it was so intense. And, you know, she was starting to get sick all the time. It's like, not doing that anymore. So maybe Ava is like their school club in a way. You should get the steak dinner, or at least the yakiniku, the Korean barbecue. You should get that out of your club. Of course, Masato lies to them and just buys them ramen in the end, which ramen can be very good, especially out of a stall like that. You know, little ramen cart. That's sometimes where you get the best ramen. But hey, that's not a steak dinner,
right? But they actually say that we'll go get ramen because like you can't afford these nice meals. Like they actually make a direct statement about eating ramen because it's cheaper. And I can't get out of my head that they're celebrities. They're basically heroes. They're not secret. Like when they go to school, people know that Shenji is the one that's inside this Ava, and that Asuka is inside this Ava. So they're celebrities on top of constantly saving the world. I don't know. It seems like you would just have people donating, or you could go out to any restaurant you want and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Shenji. You saved the world yesterday. Anything you want on the menu is on the house." But it doesn't seem like any of them get any of these benefits extended to them. And that doesn't make it's starting to not make sense to me, because it's almost as if no one does know what they're doing. But we've established that they do.
Their classmates do. Does the general populace know that these Avas are being piloted by 14-year-olds? And again, the other company did, but I'm talking just general, populace. But
if the kids know, then the kids' parents probably know, and if the kids' parents know, I don't know. I mean, if we were living in a post-apocalyptic world where we're constantly under the threat of angels destroying us, and then these mech things keep like fighting the angels back, I feel like I would know. I don't even care about news that much, and I would care about that kind of news.
I mean, as we record this, the Fantastic Four movie recently came out where they kind of do rock that, where they've been saving the world for a few years, and just wherever they go, that's hey, it's a Fantastic Four, right? So yeah, you're not getting that here. How long have they actually been doing it? I guess it's maybe 2 months at this point. How long has Asuka been there? The timeline's a little bit funky, you know.
We don't really get a great timeline in this one at all, but I mean, I'm assuming that they're only getting a few days, maybe a week at most, between each angel battle.
Yeah, so I'd say maybe Shinji first came to Tokyo 3 like 3 months ago or something. You know, that would be my thought. So I guess fame can, especially in a city, can spread quickly. So it is a good question. I'm just trying to like sit here and think about like literally how that would work out. You know, so I'm sort of making excuses, but trying to find the way that makes sense, right?
Right. Well, plus clearly the economy is still working. They're going out to restaurants, and there's a difference between a fancy, expensive steak dinner restaurant and a cheaper ramen restaurant. So capitalism's working, the economy is working. They're just not participating in it. And then my next thought goes to like, well, if they're saving the world, they're the ones holding the economy up. Without them doing what they're doing, there is no money or ramen or steak for anybody. There's not even like a physical reality anymore. And yet they're basically working for no pay. Is this extreme capitalism or is this extreme socialism?
Well, I assume Masato has been buying more expensive beer and probably spending her entire income on the beer. So
right.
It's not that she doesn't get paid. She's just spending it all on beer. And
or maybe they pay her in
ramen.
beer.
Yeah, they keep instant ramen around, right? The house. So
here's a question for you. I mean, you live in Japan. You've been there for a while. Does anyone actually eat like top ramen style ramen in Japan, or is it just like another level of quality? Like, would you just go out and get like fresh ramen from a stand and you would never even look at a package of top ramen?
I mean, you would take your instant ramen to work and do it there. So kids studying at the library, they'll bring instant ramen. The instant ramen, I think, is generally better too. You can have some instant ramen that like doesn't suck here. So, but yeah, the ramen shop is going to be like several grades higher in quality. My favorite ramen shop is in the countryside. It's like in a shack in the countryside. It's quite busy now. It's kind of hard to go to, so I haven't been there so much recently. But they make their own ramen there. They got a spicy miso that rocks. If you get there early, they'll make you a Korean barbecue ramen. They make like 10 a day or something. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have to sample next time I'm in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in Atlanta, when I left, you couldn't get a decent bowl of ramen. I ended up eating mostly Vietnamese pho because we had a large Vietnamese community. I have heard that Atlanta does have more ramen now, but I don't know if it rates, you know. And the thing is, like, at the end, they go to that ramen stand. You're like, oh, that looks small and crappy. But it's like, yeah, that's probably where the good ramen is. Like, when you see, like, a really lame, plain-looking place and there's a big line, it's not like we're like, oh, that's a long line. We're like, ooh, that must be good. I should get in the line.
Also, we find out, which is pretty understandable, is that Rey is a vegetarian, but the way she says, she's like, I don't like to eat flesh, like, which sounds like something an absolute shell-shocked MK Ultra victim would maybe say, because it probably reminds her of some crazy programming that she went through.
You're not wrong, but a very slight thing I did notice is she just says she doesn't eat niku, which is just meat. She doesn't say she's a vegetarian. She simply says, I think she says, I don't like meat, you know? So, because Japan doesn't like understand vegetarianism. If you're a vegetarian, you come to Japan, you might go to the family restaurant and be like, they'll be like, oh, we'll give you a salad because that's vegetarian. Then it'll show up with a bunch of bacon bits on top. Like a lot of foods use like daichi, which is, you know, like fish base or whatever. So like a vegetarian might not want that. And a Japanese person would never even think about that being meat.
Being a vegetarian is not common in Japan at all?
Not at all, no. There are, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of vegetables, you know, kaiseki, you know, traditional, like especially Kyoto food that often doesn't have a lot of meat. It's like mountain vegetables and stuff. But in Japan, people just don't really think about the idea of being a vegetarian. Until recently, they didn't eat that much meat. It's an island, a poor resource island. So meat was kind of a luxury until the past 100 years, you know?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you're selling Japan more and more.
So you can definitely get some meat now. Yakiniku places, you just go and grill a bunch on a fire. It's great, especially in winter. Although even in summer, it's like it's too hot, but I get all this delicious meat. So
there's one other thing that Shinji says in this episode too, that I'm not gonna say relatable, but it's just like him not being annoying, which is out of character for him. But he's kind of getting philosophical, and he's talking to Asuka about why she's a pilot. And she kind of describes like the fame part and getting the recognition and yada yada. But then he sort of restates her reasoning back to her, and she agrees. But he was like, "So you're a pilot to prove to the world that you exist." Like, this is him. Like, I'm 14 years old and I'm being super deep right now, but he kind of is. Like, he's actually pinning that on her, and she realizes that is kind of true.
I mean, he is 14. He is growing. He is mentally developing, even if it's getting stunted a bit by all this weird nerve stuff. But that is, I mean, kids are, most kids are annoying. So watching a show, though, if you start, your first impression is important. So when they're like, Shinji was super annoying in the first 4 episodes, the fact they might be growing up could be lost on some people, It's like, he's now annoying. That's who he is.
This is like one of the first long, maybe the only anime series that's this long that I've gotten into, and it took me until 12 episodes in to remember what all the characters' names actually are when I see them on the screen without having to look them all up. So it's going, like, I understand Shinji's character, and I also think that he finally in episode 12, maybe there's just a lot of backstory and complicated stuff they had to get over, but now it's starting to hit a flow where I'm not questioning how every little piece kind of fits. And also it seems that until Asuka showed up, Nerve was kind of boring. It was kind of a boring day at work, and with Asuka there, she adds this extra energy that now it feels like a complete team, and now it feels like they can do a quick cut to, okay, here's what's going on in Nerve. Now what's going on with the Angels, and here's what's going on in real life. Like, those things all flow now for the very first time, and it took this many episodes to get there.
Yeah, I do love their preparation timpani, which they're pretty much owning now. I don't think it was in the first couple episodes, but they've definitely been rocking it since. So someone was like, that's cool, let's use it.
It's a ritual now, yeah.
It's a ritual now, but that is the thing, especially with the animated series, is maybe to save a little money, but you just have okay, here's where you do this part. I mean, if you watch a Scooby-Doo cartoon, like minute 5 is pretty much the same in every episode.
Or like the Voltron, where it's like, oh, now here's the sequence where all the pieces come together and everyone can kind of take a break for a minute and a half.
And the background is just lightning and black, so they can use it every week. So Evangelion doesn't do that. Again, we were noticing in this episode a lot more still frames, but I don't think it took you out of the episode or anything. It's like, oh, they're doing that more. I want to do one more note on the angel that I mentioned that at one point is going to be that weird origami Mobius strip angel. Before that, in the original series plan, it was going to be instead an angel named Terrell, the Rock of God, which was going to be a giant floating head. So maybe like a Zardoz thing. I don't know. That might have been fun. Maybe we'll get that one later.
I'm in. I mean, there's got to be at least 72 of these things. And there's not 72 episodes, so they probably don't get through all of them.
No, we might have to double up on some angels in some episodes, as we move along. So the episode ends, I guess, with the 0.0001% chance thing, with them basically like triangulating their positions and making their own fields to block the angels' giant field, which allows for a lot of still shots as they punch through and stuff. It's just, again, it's that Dune fighting, right, of the slowly pushing through a field sort of thing, and they, I don't know, slash the eye, do it Munchen Andalou style in the end.
Well, we don't really see exactly what they do. They all just kind of, all 3 of them come together, put their AT fields, their little like force fields on, and then we just see this huge explosion. And you don't really know if they survived or not until 5-second fade away, and then it rises back up, and then there they are hanging out again. And like, wow, what a great job we did. So it was kind of an anticlimactic ending. Like, yeah, there's an explosion, but there's like all this buildup, and then it's just like, oh, they just had an eye fall on them, and then there was an explosion, and here we are again.
Yeah, the critique on this episode was that the battle was awfully short, but I feel like this is an episode that was like, let's have a little fun without breaking the bank, you know?
I want to see him break the bank. I'm ready.
I imagine it seems they break the bank at, like episode 5, 6, right? And then a few episodes ago, they broke the bank a little bit. I imagine by 15, they'll be considering that again. And we end with a couple movies, so I guess those would be a little higher budget than just a TV episode.
A couple movies. I knew that there was one movie. There's more than one?
I think there's 2, if I'm correct. And then there's the more recent ones, which is the remake. So when I said they were selling Eva stuff at the 7-Eleven, which I think is still there, it looks slightly different because it's the newer one they're basing it on.
Oh, no.
I think it's the same guy, so it's like him doing it again. So I don't think anyone's particularly against the newer ones.
No, I'm just saying, oh no, because that's just like even more episodes that we need to watch eventually.
Oh, those that's not a series though. That's 4 movies.
Okay,
that were made in the past 15 years or so. So yeah, that's not, and it's just redoing this story, so it's kind of optional. So listeners, if you really want us to get into that one, bug us after this one and give us a few months at least, if not a year or two, because it's generally the same story, and you don't want to do the same thing. It's like if George Lucas, instead of making the prequels, had just remade the first 3, like actually remade them,
So like Spider-Man.
Yeah, except like the last. Well, no, Raimi didn't make. They made a Doctor Strange, didn't he? But yeah,
there was like at least 2 or 3 Spider-Men though, where it was just like back to square one. Let's do it again. But my point is,
the weird thing with Evangelion, it's like Anno is still involved. It's like George Lucas does like the first 3 Star Wars movies again,
Well, I'm sure we're going to get to all of them. I mean, we kind of have to at this point.
Yeah, I guess we have to at this point. But yeah, that for this one, anything else you want to throw out on this episode? I felt like we had mentioned the battle because it was short, so I just kind of shoehorned that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I found a lot of symbolism, specifically in that scene in the holodeck where she's giving them the whole breakdown. That lava bat phoenix scene at the very beginning, the fact that it happens right before all of them are born in all these different like pods. So I feel like all this is going to be incredibly relevant in the coming episodes.
Yeah, Antarctica certainly is becoming more and more mysterious. It's your ice box, as opposed to a black box, I guess.
See, all the answers are slowly coming together. Like originally it was like, why the hell is there a penguin here? Well, like now we know the penguin's solved, and like every little bit is starting to get solved over why is Ray so weird. Now we kind of know why Ray is so weird.
Yeah, I think they do a nice job of pacing out and meeting it out. I mean, so many of us were just scarred by the show Lost, right? Where we just kept piling on mysteries that never got answered, even when the show ended. So anything that can pace it out properly, you kind of sit there and clap while you're watching a little bit.
So we're at a nice pace. I think episode 12, we're finally at a nice pace. How many more do we have to go? 26 total?
I think the last 1 or 2 of those are the movies when you make a 26 count, but we'll find out. We just keep moving as we go.
We're just about at the halfway point.
Correct. Yes. So for that halfway point, what kind of plug you want to plug them at today? You want to put them in a plug suit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pushing my Paranoid American podcast. If you like this podcast, you can hear me interviewing a whole bunch of people on a huge variety of topics. I recently just had the news director for America's Most Wanted on, and we talked all about America's Most Wanted, and she also just wrote a book about the Oklahoma City bombing called Blowback. So all kinds of fun stuff. Grab the family, sit them around the radio, and listen in. And you can find that by just going to anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search for Paranoid American.
For me, podcastiast.org has a lot of podcasting. Twilight Zone at Time Enough podcast. Severance at Imprison in Prison currently. I mentioned Space 1999. We had Podcast 1999 where we covered that in Planet of the Apes. And you're just going through this stuff, talking to people every week. I mean, it's, I feel like, you kind of move up to your chakras and you become better at communicating, and you can really, improve your life as you do more and more podcasts, I think. So, open your soul with podcasting.
Is that why you podcast?
Yeah, I just feel it in my heart to open up to the world and podcast with everyone, experience the whole of reality, Jeez,
you really are an idiot.
about the full history of the Bavarian Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt, Alumbrados, Jesuits, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and more. From the 18th century to modern day, we expose it all. That's right, it's the Illuminati comic from Donut and Paranoid American. Get yours now at IlluminatiComic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real, the real, you will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hate, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.